Hi, I'm Michael Nadalin from Market Lead, and today's video is going to be me showing you the strategy that we've just rolled out for a new $3.5 billion client. This client came to us because they've got a new project that they need to do over $30 million in sales for. So this is the exact strategies that we rolled out, and I wanted to share it with you today. Now, the thing that we do at Market Lead so well is lead generation. So I'm going to share all the tips and secrets in a really simple way today that you can implement yourself. We run so many lead generation campaigns for so many businesses, and they make millions of dollars directly attributed to the work that we do. Now, the reason why it works so well, I used to be only a paid ads specialist, but as time went on, I realized paid ads was not enough. You've got to really understand the whole lead generation system from the first ad being clicked to the sale. And this system right now is really focused around lead generation, but bringing it back to sales attribution as well. That is the biggest gap, is actually attributing the work back to sales using the data analysis, using CRMs, and using all the other things involved to actually make sure that every dollar you put in, you get hundreds times back. So in this campaign, we're going to be spending probably about $50,000 over the next few months. It's really not a high budget, but the ROI will be about 500x per every dollar spent. Now that does sound a lot, but with a lot of the industries that we work with that are high ticket, this isn't actually that uncommon. Most of our clients get about a 20 to 500x return on ad spend from lead generation because it really is this simple, concise, and clear. So we're going to go through it right now. So I've got my FigJam file up here. I always like to start this off just to really map it out, because if you can't visually see these things, it can get too complicated and you can start to dive too deep in the technicalities of accounts or the systems or the strategies, and that's where most people get caught. You really need to look at this on the high level, from the ads to the landing page to the CRM to the data analysis, just to make sure you've got this all extremely clear. So number one, we've got to put in our revenue target. So we've actually got to know what our outcome is for this. So for this client, it's actually, I think it's around $30 to $45 million. And that's where we got to start. So we've got to realize, like, these are the targets that we want to hit. And then underneath that, how many sales need to come from that. So the sales from this, I think, is about 25 to 45. And that's where we're going to start. So we know that that's how many sales we need to achieve, and with that outcome. So then when we're looking at all the advertising we need to do, we can start to reverse engineer from there. So number one, revenue and outcomes in terms of sales. Number two, how many leads do we need to achieve to turn into those sales? So really knowing the lead to sale rate. Now, this is a really big number that most businesses don't know, and they really do need to know, because a lot of times they just get hundreds of leads when they work with us, qualified leads with heaps of information attributed to it. But then because of their sales rates are really weak, they're not keeping up with the same trajectory and success that can be achieved. So the other tool I like to use, I don't really use it that often because I usually do this in my head, but I'll bring it up for this video here, is the viability and prediction tool. Now, this is a tool I've used for years when I do use it. This is mainly used for Google Ads, but you can use one for Meta Ads as well. We do have a Meta Ads one. I won't show it today just because it's a bit more complicated and I just want to keep this really concise and clear. So when we do this in here, all we wanted to do is put the main inputs in from the paid ads perspective. So this would be Google Ads. So I know for this client, the cost per click is usually around $5. The conversion rate from our landing pages would probably be around 10 to 15%, but I always like to go on the conservative side of all data analysis and input. So I'd be going for a lower side and then a bit lower. So I'm actually going to put in 8% there. Now, the lead to sale rate, that is the percentage of every time you get a lead, what percentage of them will turn into sales. Now, with a lot of high ticket industries, even though it is very niche and when people are looking for it, there's a higher predictability of sales, but because this is a B2C item that's a high income or high revenue, actually, I'm going to put it lower at usually probably around 2%. Now, that may seem really low, but that's what it is for this industry on average in terms of getting qualified leads and then turning them into sales. The average qualified, the average client value is probably around $1 million, but for this it's 1.2. So you can probably predict what this industry is. I'm not going to say it though. And then we can put the budget in here. So the budget for this will just be around, I think it's around $5,000 a month. These numbers are a bit blurry just because it's been a very busy week. So we can see down here, based on the budget, We'll approximately give it 1,000 clicks if we fully attribute that budget to Google Ads. Now, this is the thing with a lot of the predictions that we do here, it's just with the budget 100% allocated to that channel. So when we're looking at this right now, this isn't taking into the factor of meta ads, which in this case and this industry is going to be a higher predictor of it. But we could predict about 80 leads for about $62.5, 2 sales a month at a $3.1 thousand cost per sale, and about $1.9 million directly attributed to Google Ads. Now, these numbers are actually quite common. The reason why I've built this out is because with all the lead generation and data analysis work that we've done, we've got so much data at Market Lead over so many industries and extremely niche industries that we can predict that these are the numbers that will deliver that outcome as well. So we know what the numbers are going to be. So I'm just going to pull over Google Ads here. So this is going to be the first channel. And because this is an advertising channel, but it's also data analysis and business consulting advice as well, got to really map out the whole journey from the targets to the channels, to the landing page, to the CRM, and to the sales as well. So we're just going to start on the advertising right now. So I'll bring up my notes over here. So Google Ads, there are so many videos on Google Ads on the internet. There are so many strategies, checklists, and all that stuff. I'm really going to go to that really 80-20 approach, or probably the first few things that I always do. That's probably more than enough for clients. So number one is actually just the structure and segmentation, or as I like to call it, hyper-segmentation. Now, the reason why we want to do this is because the structure of the account will predict the success of the account. One of the biggest issues I've seen in every single business that I've ever worked with and picked up in the account is the structure of the account. Because if the account is not structured in a way where you can easily and effortlessly allocate budget to different lines of business or keyword themes or just different products or services, the account will never work, because so many people are focused on putting all the data in one place and allowing the algorithms to do the work. But if you have any data insights towards or any data analysis skills, you'll realize once you have data and you know what to do with it, you need to actually start making decisions and taking action from it. So one of the biggest issues is people don't structure the account from the start to align with success and data. So we always start with structure and segmentation. And in this case here, it would just be a brand campaign and non-brand keywords and non-brand plus location. And that's what I tend to do for most businesses that are service-based or product-based. Is really a brand campaign, a non-brand campaign, depending on the line of business, or it could be like the service and product, and then the non-brand plus location. That's really important, especially for local campaigns, having different campaigns with location-based keywords, because it does show better results. Now, the next part we want to look into is the budget allocation. Now, because we know for this campaign we're doing meta ads as well, got to actually decide out of the budget that we're getting a month, let's just say $5,000, what percentage of that will be going to Google Ads? Because you just don't want to like throw it in and just kind of see where it goes. You do want to very systematically decide what percentage of your budget goes to each channel every month. Now, it can be fluid, it can be dynamic, but you've got to be clear from the start, because one of the biggest mistakes people make is that they don't actually allocate their budget appropriately. This is investment. We do know that every dollar we put in right now, we're probably going to be getting about $500 back. So we need to make sure that where we're allocating the money has the highest return on investment here. So that's another thing we'd look at in this campaign. Every business is different. I'm just going to put a percentage sign there right now. But I usually, for Google Ads campaigns, it's usually about 20 or 30% for a lead generation campaign like this. Every business, every industry is different, but just make sure from the start you do allocate the budget appropriately. The next thing is we want to look at is settings. And after you've done like the structure and hyper segmentation, which does come down to things like keywords and ads and all that stuff, that's just 101. This isn't a Google Ads video, is the settings. This, once again, is so important for every advertising campaign, because when you choose the campaign types and actually all the settings that go in it, that will make or break it. So many people go, Google Ads doesn't work, Meta Ads doesn't work. The reason why it doesn't work is because they're actually not using the right settings, the right campaign types, and the right targeting. So you need to be extremely focused in on this. Now, there are so many videos on settings. I'm not going to give away my settings for something like this. I would always go, well, I will actually right now, I'd always go for a search campaign, and I'd also go for manual cost per click until you get to a certain point, and then you would move it to maximize conversions with a target CPA. That's all you need to do. Keep it really simple. A lot of this is really simple. It doesn't take that much brain science. It does take a decade of expertise to get to this point and actually know when you're in the account what leverage points you need to pull. But to start off with, for a high client like this that you want to be attributing millions of dollars you work with, keep it simple to start off with. You can complicate it later, but it's always better to phase out the rollout of this approach to get better results. The most important thing here, now this is extremely important, like people do not understand the importance of this, is UTMs. I'm going to talk about this a lot in more videos in the future. UTMs, I think, are the most important data point available in modern advertising. The reason I say that is because so much data is being lost from pixels and tags now because of how the platforms and how the browsers are being set up. You need to capture user data. Now, in the last few months, in the last few years, I've been doing some wildly advanced data analysis for clients, from literally the first impression to like millions of dollars in sales purely from UTMs. So set up UTMs in your ad campaigns. People go, well, UTMs are like campaign name. There are codes on the internet that allow you to dynamically put in the campaign name, campaign ID, ad group name, ad group ID, keywords, search terms, mobile device, like the devices. This data is so valuable because once you push that data in, plus all the data by the user, because this is lead generation, you're actually getting all the users' data as well, like name, phone number, email address, locations, all these other things. When you blend that in with in-platform data, and you can go, these are the specific keywords that are turning into sales or quotes, and this is the return on ad spend or the return on investment you get from it, it's extremely powerful. Most people cannot do this purely because they're not capturing the data in the UTMs. This has rapidly transformed my business because I've been able to transform clients' businesses as well from this. If you do this, I can guarantee you this would make all the difference in the world with your advertising across Meta and Google and all the landing pages and all your sales attribution as well. So that's what we'll start with Google Ads. This is just like the really high level strategy. You can go deeper with other videos that I've done, but it really is segmentation, budget allocation, settings, and UTMs. The next one is Meta Ads. Now, Meta Ads is really, it's probably one of the most powerful channels I'm seeing at the moment for advertising. It's been over the last few years, but I'm seeing it get even more powerful for lead generation now. And there's a lot more that goes into this than Google Ads. It is simple, but it's extremely competitive. So if you do make the wrong decisions in it and make a lot of mistakes, you can lose a lot of money. Meta is way more complicated, and you really need to make sure that you simplify your Meta account and the structure of it, because with our Meta accounts, if you looked at any of them, people would be like, why? This is so simple. I could do this. But they don't do it because so many people get so caught up in all these wild ways of running Meta ads that, number one, you can't see the data clearly. Number two, the data's not being pushed into the right campaigns clearly. And then number three, it's just not getting the results to scale with. So every single one of our lead generation clients only have 3 campaigns. So that's it. It is that simple. And it really is this structure. And number one, once again, is structure. And the structure will always be, number one, retargeting. You need to make sure that you're segmenting out your retargeting or people who've been to the website or the landing page before. Treat them separately because you do want to really nurture those types of people, but also know if they're different. Number 2 is prospecting. And then number 3 is what I call prospecting broad. Well, when we do these 3 audience breakdowns in terms of campaign structure, this really gives us the most leverage to actually allocate budget and get better results. Retargeting is obviously people who've been to the website. Prospecting broad, it's really this simple. It's literally just doing the targeting within the target locations, but with no audience targeting. So no audience layering. You may want to use ages and you may want to put other settings in there, but you're not putting any audience layering in there as well. That is extremely powerful, especially if you're looking to scale the campaigns, because it will allow itself to use the data from the other campaigns and the data from Google and the landing page to start scaling more. The next one is prospecting targeting. So this is literally just using different audiences. And the way we do this at Market Lead is we literally create a new audience or a new ad set for every single audience. That way, on a linear level, we can actually see what audiences are delivering results. People tend to layer a lot of audiences into single ad sets, and they say it's amazing, they trust the algorithm. But the problem with that, and the problem with anything when you put it all in together, is the results you get are the averages. They're the averages of the good stuff and the bad stuff. You want to have very specific insight to what is poorly performing, especially if you want to use UTMs and track all that data into sales. You want to actually see what audiences, campaigns, ads are delivering sales for you. I think a lot of lazy advertisers do not segment things well enough because they go trust the algorithm, and that's really important. And then if you do too much segmentation, you're literally spreading it too thin. But you've got to make sure that you've got control over the day at the end of the day with your ads. If you do not, you will lose so many sales and so many leads. And most importantly, you actually have no leverage. You won't actually know what is delivering results. And that's what you need to do at the end of the day. Now, in terms of campaigns and campaign types, a lot of people think of doing top, middle, bottom of funnel. I think always go for middle and bottom of funnel. The reason why you want to do that is because of the power of meta. You can actually just allow the algorithms of it to proactively go after people for sales, especially if you're using landing pages. Now, with landing pages, you'll be tracking a lead and using the pixel, and that data will push back into the Meta account. Similar, if you do get leads from Google Ads, which are very high intent, that data pushes back into Meta as well. So there's such a rich, holistic ecosystem of data being filled. Now, going back to the UTMs here, this is where I've done some really gray, sneaky things. With the data from the ad accounts and the landing pages and people answering certain questions that may be very showing a lot of personal identifiable data, you can use different UTM strings with Google Tag Manager to feed that back into the account to create audiences based on extremely high segmentation. Now, the thing about this is you've got to be good with the technical element of this. But if you do not have UTMs pushing in that data to your landing page to grab that data to feed it back into the ad accounts, you're never actually going to be able to target these types of people. Another one of our clients recently got an $8 million client purely from some of these strategies. We got it from a meta ad. The cost per lead was $50. It is wild, an $8 million, purely just because we use meta ads with the landing page with doing some advanced data analysis. But within that, we're feeding the high quality data back into the ad account based on the UTM string. So do not sleep on UTMs. Most people still don't get it. They still don't understand how it deeply works. But once you do get it, it really will transform your business, especially for lead generation as well. So the campaign types you want to go for, we do want to be focused on like website leads. And you just want to be focusing on like leads, like getting leads. And you do not, I'm putting an X here, it's not lead forms. You want them going to a landing page. It just qualifies the leads so much better. Lead forms are bad, do not use them. And looking through the other meta ads is settings and then ad variants. So this is controversial. Now, the good thing is my career has always been in Google Ads. And then over the last 7 years, been doing meta ads. I was able to take my data analysis and success from Google Ads and bring it into meta ads. So I never got too caught up in creative, and I never got too caught up in like thinking that you're going to run heaps of variants. Because of that, and I'm so outcome driven, I've always have been outcome driven. I've always been able to focus on what actually delivers results, not what looks good in terms of perspectives for the clients or all of that type of stuff. With ad variations, this is the thing I've noticed the best. With that simple structure I've given, I only recommend running like 2 to 3 times of ads, like at a time. That's it. Keep it super minimal. Keep it like that. The reason why is because if you're running an ad campaign and you've got so many variants of ads, number one, Meta doesn't just go allocate the budget equally. It just starts to focus on 1 or 2 ads that highly perform and everything else is neglected. So you might have a really good ad that you've written, but it just never hooked with Facebook yet, and then it never ran. So then you've just spent all this time, energy, and focus, and you're going, that didn't work. It is better to run short bursts of ads and small variants and actually just see what works. It's the best thing I've noticed, and most of the time it actually gets better results because then the ads start to create its own like viability and virality to themselves, because more people are seeing fewer ads, they get more clicks, they get more likes, and then they actually start to grow on themselves and more data goes into the account rather than being too split thin across a lot of ads as well. Now, the next thing is, I just think you've got to just not sleep on this. You need to run video ads. Video ads have a higher CTR, and in Meta, when you are analyzing the data, you realize that like CPMs are going higher. You're paying for impressions, not cost per click. So when you do run videos, usually the video CTR is about 2 to 3%, which is about 2 to 3 times higher than a static image as well. So for every single one of our clients, we recommend using video ad creative, or if not that, like really high quality images as well. But the thing is, these are the simplest hacks you can do. This is how clients make millions of dollars from the simplicity. If you just implement these types of systems on Meta, simple structure, breaking it down by 3, campaigns just going after leads, 2 to 3 ad variants, and then just running video ads in there as well. It is super powerful. Now, the next thing we want to do, I do not have a logo for it, but we'll put this in here. We're going to like high converting landing pages. So there's a lot of videos out there on high converting landing pages. The reason why I can confidently talk about this is because I've spent hundreds, like over $100 million on ads. I run landing pages and traffic myself personally as well. So this isn't something I'm disassociated from. It's actually strategies that I run. Now, the thing for high converting landing pages, there are so many strategies out there, but this is actually what works to make millions of dollars from ads from direct experience. Number one is got to have a really clear headline. It's just got to be simple. It can't be, don't need these fancy long direct response copy headlines. That doesn't work. You just need a clear headline, literally, that when someone sees an ad on Google or Facebook, when they click it, it goes to the page and it literally just says, we do this thing that you've just seen an ad on. It is really that simple. So for example, if you're a car mechanic in Hawthorne, you go car mechanic Hawthorne, book now. It's so simple that the simpler the landing page, it actually tends to be the higher the conversion rate. So super long form landing pages tend to have a lower conversion rate compared to a shorter form. Now, sometimes people may say, but then people are not as qualified. But the goal is here is if someone's seen an ad and they're interested, the qualification's moved up. If they come to the page and it's a really clear headline, it pushes the qualification up. The next step is with the form. If you're just asking very simple things like name and email, that's going to be less qualified than name, email, phone number, which is going to be less qualified than name, email, phone number, postcode, which is going to be less qualified than name, email, postcode, all that stuff. And then asking, what specifically are you looking for? What's your time frame to purchase? What's your budget? So by using simpler things, but actually qualifying people a little bit along the journey, you don't need to use so much qualification. People are lazy. There's this thing called the grunt test in landing page and actually like website is within 5 seconds, you got to do the caveman grunt test, which is within 5 seconds, people should know what you do, what's in it for them, and what actions they need to take. So it's like, we do this service, this is the benefit for you, this is what you do need to do right now to take action. That's the simplest things you need to do. And I'll actually just put that in here, like the grunt test or the caveman test, which is number 1, what you do, 2, what's in it for them. Like that's basically just the benefit. And then number 3, call to action. What to do. Now, after that, you just gotta, like the design's gotta be nice. The other thing is, this is super important. It's gotta be mobile first, / like only. And I say that because from the data of paid ads, over 70+% of ad traffic comes from mobile now. So do not design a page on a desktop and then review it on desktop and say that looks good. Review it, create it on a desktop, but make sure that you're testing it on the desktop with a mobile view and a mobile. People are coming from mobile. You've got to make it a mobile strong experience. So these are always what we do with our clients. And this is why they're so successful, because we're actually aligning with the data. Once again, designers don't tend to know the data analysis behind the traffic, and most ads people don't know the strategies behind landing pages. So this is that blend over or that lap over of why we've been able to get these results for clients as well. Now, the other things we need to do is like split test. And this is like A/B test, but you've just got to run like one split test at a time, which is one at a time. And you could either do short, versus long form, headline test, call to action test, and form test. Now, I don't like to do form tests because actually I think getting more data I'd prefer to get, this is the interesting thing. Most people tend to say that when you have more questions, the conversion rate drops, and it does happen. But if you've done all these things right earlier in the journey, when people are filling in a form, they're less likely to actually drop off because they've been qualified along the journey. So once again, a clear headline with a benefit and clear call to action, people are going to take those few more seconds to answer it. So you can do a form test. Now, the most important thing, this is really coming to the business analysis and results side, is you've got to make sure that you're getting really high quality information from people. So when it comes to the sales team or someone who's calling them, they have that information for them. But more importantly, when people are not good salespeople and they say that the leads are poor, you can literally say, what was poor about this specific lead that said they had this much budget, they were looking to buy in the next 3 months? Tell me what was off by them, because this allows us to use user data and blend it in with salesperson data and actually see where the gap is in the difference. Maybe some people were lying on the form, but maybe some salespeople are just not as good as they think they are and will blame the leads as well. So it's really important to get crystal clear on the lead quality. So I actually think using multi-step forms rather than just one long form, multi-step actually allows people to just see less chunks of information. So on the first page, like the first side, it could be name and email. Then the second page is like phone number and what you want to be contacted about if you just want a brochure or speak to the team. The next could be just like time frame and budget. And just by going through these simple steps, just seeing 2 things at a time, it really reduces the resistance to filling out these forms as well. Because look, they do take time, people don't fill it out, but if you do not have this qualified information for your leads, you're actually not going to get amazing results. So we'll keep moving down and we'll move to the next area. Now, this is, and I might put in some nice little arrows here. These ads go here. And then once the lead is submitted, it will go into a CRM. And that's where the data will be held for the client. So then their sales team can actually follow up the leads. You do want to get them to email to the client, so then or to your business, so you get a notification, but you do need them hosted in a CRM so you can actually manage the leads. Like, I'll say this straight up. Leads will not buy straight away. Put this here. Leads do not buy straight away. The lead is the start of the journey. So the lead is the start of the journey, and that's where you got to really understand that no matter how high intent this is, people are not going to want to buy straight away. So this is where the CRM goes into here, and then the salespeople need to feed this data back in, so then all that data analysis can start to happen. So the next thing that needs to happen, which is the most important, this is seriously the most important part of business, data analysis. But this is not what people traditionally think of data analysis and ad accounts. That actually doesn't really matter that much. Like, it's pretty simple. Most generic baseline people can be good at that. It really is the data analysis of the ads, the landing pages, and the offline sales data as well. So what at this stage is, you want to be feeding this data in, I wonder if I can get an arrow here, from CRM, landing pages, and ad channels into a data analysis system, and literally starting to do things like analysis, like really starting to do deep analysis on things like cost per lead, per channel, quotes per channel, sales per channel, sales per keyword, and then like I'll just put in Q and S, which will mean quotes and sales for audiences, keywords, ads, and then feeding that data back in. Now we also want to be doing UTM data analysis and then feeding that back into Meta and using all that data to really create an enriched pixel and an enriched system. This is the system that literally makes businesses millions of dollars. It's really simple. People know this, but these are the first technical things that we always do. There are so many checklists. There are so many things you can do out there to do Google ads and meta ads, and you can get so confused. If you just did this to a landing page, to a CRM, you do the data analysis to really understand, like, and also things like, I always put this stuff in, quote to sale rate, lead to quote rate, quote to sale rate, and then return on investment and return on ad spend. These are the things that will genuinely, if you feed this data back into the ad account and you have this clear, you'll be able to see on a monthly and lifetime level how the performance is going. This is the area where the money is made. This is where it's implemented, but this is where it's made, because when you have that analysis, you'll actually directly know what specific things you need to change, which will lead to things like budget allocation per channel, what you need to change on the landing pages, which variants of landing pages actually turn into sales. The analysis I only see of landing pages is purely on which one had a higher conversion rate, but not which one had a higher revenue rate, which one had a higher sales rate, which one brought in more quotes, actually the things that are delivering sales. Too many people are just looking at the lead level, which is good to start off with from the channels or the landing pages, but you need to move beyond that. That's not where the money's made. It's made in actually analyzing where the quotes are coming from and actually where the sales are coming from as well, then looping that back into your landing page software and your ad channels as well. Now, there are so many more things you can do. There's so many more things I can add, but this really is the most simplest form on how to actually implement strategies for clients to make millions of dollars. This is what we've done over the last few years at Market Lead. This is why our clients make millions of dollars from the ad channels, and we can directly attribute it back to our work, which is the most important thing. Actually showing the keywords, this audiences, the ads, the levels, the months, everything that's actually turning into quotes and sales. If you do not do this, there is no way you can scale your business and get millions of dollars in sales. So I'm going to leave it there. If you have any thoughts or questions or want me to add anything else, let me know, but have a wonderful day ahead.